Hello everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Mario So, and today we're going to be talking about a very bright LED spotlight, this one right here. Let's get started. So it's great to see you back here on the channel. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button for future content similar to this one. And if you're already subscribed, thank you again so much for being here. So GVM, which stands for Great Video Maker, sent me this light to try out and to give it my thoughts. This is what the light looks like. It's a COB LED spotlight with a Bowens mount. In terms of some of the features that this light has, a few of the things right off the bat is that it's a very bright light. So let's go over some of the features of this light. It is a bicolor temperature light that goes from 3200 Kelvin all the way to 5600 Kelvin. It has a very high color rendering index and they claim to have it above 97. This is a 200 watt power light. At about 1 meter, you can get about 10,000 lumens. And that is a lot of lighting power. So inside the box, you get a carrying case, which I did not get for this video, but you should be getting a carrying case if you purchase it. You get the light itself, a power cable, a power adapter, a lampshade, and a little diffuser. The cable that comes with this light is actually very long. That's very handy. GVM says that this has an intelligent cooling system fan with heat dissipation. I used this light for one of my videos, and in my test, I found out that it didn't get very hot, and I was filming for about an hour, and it did produce a little bit of noise, but nothing that would ruin my video. And that was because I had this light just a little bit further away and maybe about 1 to 2 feet away from me, and that didn't interfere with my audio. So the light comes with a U bracket that lets you adjust the angle of the light, and you're able to mount this into any light stand or C-stand. For such a bright and powerful light, this light was actually not that heavy and is not that big as well, which is something that I like. It makes it a little bit more portable, especially if you're carrying already a ton of gear to your shoots. And it's also very incredibly easy to set up and get going. So the light itself is made of high quality plastic. I would say that it's very well built. The only thing that I do not like are the U-shaped brackets. So the teeth are actually quite small, and it seems that in the long run, the teeth will not hold their shape, making the knob less adjustable or less tight. That's one of the design flaws that I see on this light, other than the actual light itself, mostly on the bracket. The controls in the back of the light are very simple and straightforward. You have your on and off button, you have your DC input where you plug in that massive cable. You also have a mode button. The mode button has a few things. The first mode, rotate, is just for you to either manage the brightness of the light. You have slave mode and master mode. So that means that you can connect several of these lights, and once you put them in the same groups and channels, you're able to have one light as your master to control the rest of the slave lights. And that would come in very handy if you have a bunch of these lights and you need to control them all from one spot. To toggle between the brightness dimming and color temperature, you just have to press on the button here that says BRG and CCT. So brightness and color temperature. The big number on the screen is the brightness level that you're adjusting, and once you press that center button, you'll be adjusting the color temperature, which you see in the lower part of the screen under CCT. And you can go from 3200 Kelvin all the way to 5600 Kelvin. If you want to control this light with the app, you just toggle it with the mode button all the way to where it says app. Once there, you just download the app on your phone and you plug it in. I did find the app to be a little bit confusing and not that user friendly, and I found it a little bit difficult to understand. I would not recommend it. I would just use this light as is, manually, directly from the back of the light. I did find the buttons at the back of the light as well as the dimmer a little bit too plasticky and too flimsy for my liking. This light also has a Bowens mount, which lets you attach Bowens mount softboxes and other lighting accessories. This light though, is not cheap. It comes in at about $339 directly from the GVM site, but I found it on B&H for a little bit cheaper, but it's still around the $300 mark. It's definitely not cheap, but it is a very bright light. One benefit of having a bright light is that you can point it up to the ceiling and that will light up your entire environment to simulate a more of a natural lighting look in your scene if you needed that. Another benefit of having a very bright light is if you're shooting your subject backlit. For example, if you're shooting a subject with a very large window behind them, what you usually get is either you get a very underexposed subject because you're trying to retain details in your highlights outside the window. But if you try to properly expose for your subject, then you really have to blow out those highlights in the window and you lose all the amount of detail in those highlights. But in that case, it's okay because your primary subject is what's most important. If you wanted to retain some of those details in the highlight outside your window and still have your subject properly exposed, that's when you need to bring in a very bright light to put in front of your subject to compete against the sun. At the end of the day, the sun is always going to win, but in terms of video shooting or interview shooting, having a bright light to be your key light if you want to retain details in your highlight is going to be important. Overall, I would say that this is a pretty decent light. It's not without its flaws, but in terms of brightness and quality of light, I would say that it's very high quality. The spotlight that you get is feathered and nice. And in terms of overall lighting quality, I think this is a very decent light. I like the fact that it's not too heavy, it's somewhat portable. I like, of course, the fact that it's super bright, that it's bicolor, and the fan is not that noisy. In terms of things that I don't like about this light, first of all, the price, I think it's a little bit overpriced for what you get. The build quality isn't very sturdy, the buttons are a little flimsy, and I don't like the U bracket, and it seems like the teeth and the knobs are going to be loose over time. The app is also quite confusing in my opinion, but the good thing I guess is that it's there if you wanted to wirelessly control your light. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you're looking for a very bright light, this might be one to consider. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite light right now? I'd love to hear about it. And before you leave, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're still watching, here are a couple of videos you could watch next. And I'll see you next time.